All right, guys, welcome into the AfterSchrock. Thanks for joining us on the program today. I appreciate you taking the time out of your Sunday morning to be with us. If you have any questions, you can go ahead and type them in, and I'll do my best to answer them here. Again, I want to try to keep this one abbreviated a little bit. We've been going pretty long the last few. The AfterSchrock should technically not go longer than the actual radio show. But the biggest thing that we've got, the most fun thing here. Okay, what should we do first, guys? Should we do fun? Or should we do news? Because I've got news and I've got fun, whichever you prefer. Yeah, sorry it took me a little bit of time to get reconnected there, guys. I had an issue with the microphone I had to fix. So morning, let's see, we're going to do fun or news. The delay here is pretty spectacular, apparently, because no one said anything yet. I'm on. All right. So fun. All right, Blake, you were the first one to respond. We get fun. Sick and disgusted, the worst tech failures of 2018. Number one. I don't know if these aren't in any order. They're not like ranked, like worst to best. They're just in a list. Facebook, unsecured and unethical. If anything can be classified as tech that sucks this year, it would be social networking. Facebook has had the majority of suckage attention, whether it's been from its serious security breaches, the compromises of privacy and personal data over 87 million users, or its ethics in hiring opposition research firms to attack billionaire George Soros, who has been one of their most notable critics. So yeah, that one is that's pretty rough. Twitter, a haven of hate. Facebook may have been the most public embarrassment to deal with, but everyone's favorite screeching feed has also been not without its controversy. Twitter has been under fire for allowing Nazis and white supremacists to tweet with impunity and has been permitting racist and conspiracist agitators like Alex Jones, as well as the President of the United States, to thrive on its service only after repeated and prolonged high-pressure appeals by high-profile users to the service's founder, Jack Dorsey, did the company remove Alex Jones's account. All right, number 3, Google Project Dragonfly, making information selectively accessible. If you didn't hear about Dragonfly, Dragonfly was a project that Google was doing R&D for. If we were going to deploy a Google-like search engine in China to capture Chinese market share and, of course, serve ads to billions of Chinese eyes, what would we have to do that? We'd obviously have to censor a lot of data. We'd also have to give access to the Chinese government to a lot of data. How would we do this? Google tried to keep it secret, but the secret program to cooperate with the Chinese government creating a censored search engine has really made the company look awfully bad and promoted walkouts, protests, and high-profile resignations. Remember when the search giant's mission was to organize the world's information and make it universally accessible and useful? That's not exactly what China has in mind. Google Project Maven, which was Google helping DARPA develop computer vision systems for warfare, basically giving robots eyes so they know what to shoot at. So Google's had more resignations over that. People were like, this isn't what we signed on for. We're not here to create war machines. We're here to create a search engine. Google Plus, sorry, we exposed your data. We're closing up shop. So Google Plus becomes Google Minus. Their social platform, which was never really able to get a user base like Facebook or Twitter since 2011. Shut down after a huge data security breach that exposed the data of 500,000 users and will be winding their service down over a 10-month period. If you bought the new Pixel phone, you might be a little upset that it's running as slow as it is. That's because Google decided to be cheap with the memory and they only put 4 gigs of RAM in. Most smartphones come with 6 or 8 now, and as a result, the phone runs like dirt. So yeah, that's the high-end Pixel phone. So that's a Google fail. Let's see, what else do we got here? Google Play Store, not exactly an impregnable fortress. Seems that the Google Play Store is infested with malware and will hijack your phone and serve you ads. Isn't that special? It will do that if you install the wrong ads or apps, but as soon as you uninstall the apps, the problems are gone. iPhones and iPads, nothing is too big to fail. The latest crop of Apple, this is a weird one to see on a tech screw-up list for 2018. The latest crop of Apple iOS devices are technical marvels, except, like I said, the iPad Pros are bowing. They're literally warping. But they've become so expensive you practically have to get a second mortgage to afford them, and we may be witnessing peak technical advances with these products. While the company will always have its dedicated fans, demand for devices has been waning considerably, as was predicted by Thorstradamus. It will be even more of a challenge for Cupertino if President Donald Trump gets away with increased tariffs on Chinese manufactured goods. So that one was kind of interesting there too. All right, wow, everybody said fun. That was crazy. Happy New Year, everybody. All right, next up, Apple AirPower. It's vaporware by any other name. All right, so what is vaporware? Apple comes up with some crazy stuff. So for example, Apple has an airport. The Apple Airport, you may know it by its English name, the wireless router. Apple has a Fusion drive. Those of you who bought holiday specials in 2011 might know it as a hybrid hard drive, where it's got a small solid state partition and a large rotating disk drive, and it tries to speed up the computer by predicting what you're going to want next and putting that on the solid state partition using downtime on the hard drive. So that's basically vaporware is taking something that is technologically what it is and creating something new by changing its name. It's vapor. It's nothing. So the QI charging pad, Apple actually has been trying to design a charging pad to accommodate both the Apple Watch and the current generation of phones. So one pad that charges a phone and a watch. I got one of these for Christmas for my Samsung phones. So Samsung has this. So I don't know, Apple must be trying to do something funky crazy with it because I've got it and it works great for Android, of course. And my wife's phone, she can put her phone and her watch on there and it would charge it too. So the QI charging pad was designed to accommodate both an Apple Watch and current gen iPhones. It was supposed to be out in 2017, but numerous technical issues prevented it from being released after a year of delays. Apple has had to rely on third parties like Belkin, Mophie, Anker, and RAVPower to supply magnetic induction charging accessories to fill the gap. Tech fail. The Apple HomePod, nobody bought that, and it was stupid expensive. We're not even going to talk about that. Now, I had no idea that this feature was in the Apple Watch. Lovely Kimberly, did you know that your Apple Watch could do this? Apple Watch walkie-talkie. Yes, there's an Apple Watch walkie-talkie. You have a push-to-talk feature. Think like a Nextel phone. You have a push-to-talk feature in your Apple Watch that allows you to only talk to other people with the same generation of Apple Watch. Not iPhones, not MacBooks, only people with the LTE-equipped Apple Watch can walkie-talkie between each other. Why? So what exactly is the point of a smartwatch push-to-touch feature if you can only talk to other people on the same brand as smartwatch and not even other people on other Apple products like iPhones, iPads, or Macs? Fail. Siri, still stupid after all these years. It's been years since this poor excuse for an intelligent assistant has been released, and yet when you compare it to the Google Assistant, Amazon's Alexa, and Microsoft's Cortana, it's still the dunce of the bunch. Oh, golly. Boy, Apple's getting dumped on here. Apple iTunes, a dumpster fire of old crusty code. I think a lot of people would actually agree with that. How many of you have not backed up your Apple device because iTunes is such a cluster bomb that you don't even want to mess with it? A lot of people, my wife included, I think. All right. That is useless. Okay. Ray, you tried the Apple Watch thing? Did it work? You tried it? Let me know if it worked. All right. Windows 10 fail. How about one update per year, Redmond? Instead of the 2 6-month updates? Microsoft switching to a more aggressive update strategy has caused a number of issues for end users, including botched rollouts. Yeah, botched rollouts. That's not the how about lost data, crashed computers, repair costs? While some may appreciate and even applaud the more progressive, risk-taking Microsoft compared to the company of old, others are calling for a return to focusing on basic fundamentals instead of introducing new functionality and a less frequent update schedule. Do you know that Microsoft is the most valuable company in the world now? Microsoft finished the year on top. Can you believe that? Microsoft. Yay, cloud! Maybe not. There were so many incidents of significant downtime at public cloud hyperscale providers like Microsoft Azure, Amazon Web Services, that there are simply too many to actually count. How are we supposed to migrate to public cloud infrastructure or use it as a business continuity solution if we can't rely on its dependability when we need it? 911 service with CenturyLink. I'm just saying. Okay, let's see. Palm, it should have stayed dead. They brought back Palm this year? I didn't even know that. Look, we all like nostalgia, but this teeny weeny miniature phone for your phone that runs Android is a bit much for $350. We have smartphones and smartwatches. We don't need another expensive gadget to drag around in order to be minimally connected. I had no idea they brought back the Palm Pilot as an individual. Imagine if you had to do that. You had to carry your calendar in one device, and the other device is your phone, and then there was a camera. I mean, imagine having to carry all that stuff around. It's really amazing what the smartphones do now. Okay, virtual reality is half-baked. It's got to move beyond clumsily attaching a box to your head and just going, wow, because you have an image that moves and follows your head movements. The current crop of VR headsets are pretty disappointing beyond their initial wow factor. They really don't bring much to the table in terms of user experience, which is true. Augmented reality, even less baked. Apple makes a big deal of AR, especially with respect to the iPad, but having to awkwardly hold a smartphone or tablet in front of you is a terrible user experience. Augmented reality is a technician that's begging for smart glasses to take off, but the market is still stained by the initial reaction and subsequent consumer failure of Google Glass. I think do I still have my Google Glass somewhere? I think maybe, I don't know if I sold it or what. Oh, let's see. Driverless cars, well, Wile E. Coyote can do better. Oh, the picture, they got Wile E. Coyote strapped to a stick of dynamite. All right, Ray, let's see here. Ray, you did try it and it did work. Conversation from Village Point to Shadow Lake. Wow. Oh, yeah. Let's see. Oh, Apple seems to be the king of tech fails this year. Yeah, there's a few in here that aren't Apple, Thomas. Yeah, I could see the flight sims being good for virtual reality. That'd be a fun way to do it. Okay, this is crazy and controversial, so I'm going to say it, and yeah, this is going to be great. I purposefully kept the advances in robots G-rated because almost every single off-the-charts advance in robotics is coming from the adult robotics industry. There was an article yesterday about, and when you think about it, duh, what they're doing now, they have a new robot that's coming out, and we're all adults here. Read between the lines when I say a new robot that's coming out, okay? This is all gross anyway, but new robot that's coming out. And what they've done is they've taken the material that makes up the touchpad of your laptop, because the touchpad can obviously detect touch. It can also detect intensity of touch, how hard you're pressing or how many fingers or your whole palm or what you're pressing with. And so, that sounds so bad. So basically what they did is they covered the entire arm of this robot with touchpad material underneath the robot's skin. Now the robot can detect your touch and if you're grabbing the robot with your full hand, if you're touching it with a finger, and how hard you're touching it, if you intend to hurt it or if you intend to touch it gently. So all these advances are there.
Is it just the arm?
Well, that's all they've done so far. It's just the arm. That's all they had in the pictures. Okay, I didn't scroll through for the pictures. Okay, it popped up as like new sensors will allow robots to detect touch, and I should have known where they were going with it, but I read the article anyway. But when you think about it, the ability to detect touch, removing all the adult theme things from it, the ability to detect touch is really what's holding robotics back, because you can't have robots doing fine level assembly. Well, this is why Tesla's Gigafactory failed, or isn't the Gigafactory? It was the Dreadnought factory, where there was going to be a machine assembling Teslas continuously. It couldn't do basic things like grab an individual wire that was red and differentiate it from another wire that was blue and hold both wires at the same time while it does something. Because it would either, and picking up fragile things. Robots crush things. They have a lot of force or a little force, and it's hard unless you pre-programmed how much force is safe to use on that particular object in this particular situation. There's no feedback mechanism. Like as a human being, if you pick up, okay, let's say you're trying to open up a bottle of Aquafina. And I'm all for ecologically friendly, less plastic in the bottle kind of garbage, because that's really why they're doing it. It has nothing to do with reducing the cost of packaging at all. But we have a water bottle, and the lid is stupidly on there, and you're like, "Urgh," and you have to turn the lid, right? So you have to apply pressure to the water bottle, and grip the lid, and apply pressure to the lid, and rotate them in opposite directions, and lower the pressure on the bottle as the lid removes. Otherwise, You shoot water out of the bottle because they fill them clear up to the top of the neck for some stupid reason. I guess they want to make sure it's reducing plastic. It's a 16-ounce bottle. It holds exactly 16 ounces of liquid, I guess. I don't know. The other thing, if you've ever had a little kid opening a juice box, it's the same principle. Little kids are bad judges of force, right? So they grab their juice box and they're holding onto it. They grab their straw and they're going to monkey hammer that straw into that juice box. And as soon as the tip of that straw breaks that foil wrapper, that juice is going to come shooting out of that straw. And the only thing you can do is try to make sure it's pointed at the kid's face, because the kid won't do it again if he squirts himself in the face, right? In theory. So it's the same thing. If you can teach robots touch and touch intensity, that opens up huge numbers of applications for robotics that just don't exist right now. I'm going to scroll down into the comments now. I'm kind of scared too. Had a coworker that hates Chrome, asked why she got hacked using Chrome. I said it was antivirus. They bought it at Best Buy. Yep, they got WebRoot if they bought it at Best Buy. Asked what browser they're using, IE. I tried to sell her on endpoint, not using IE. Yeah, Mary. Sometimes it's a fight. Internet Explorer is a dead browser. I wish they wouldn't include it anymore. I wish they would force all the government agencies to rebuild their software, and so it's not dependent on IE anymore. It just doesn't work anymore. Speaking of Chrome, another story we didn't get to today was Google changed the interface, the user interface for Chrome. Headline: Google Chrome's new user interface is ugly and people are very angry. Every major user interface redesign, or UI redesign, is a hit and miss game. Just ask Pinterest. Google's new Chrome UI appears to be a colossal miss. Designed with mobile devices in mind, the new Chrome user interface was officially rolled out in September. Not all users like the user interface. It was clear from the beginning. Some users voiced their discontent online even back then. However, those users who didn't appreciate the new lighter toned Chrome interface and the option to visit the Chrome/flags page to modify a Chrome setting and continually use the Chrome's older UI. So basically what users are doing is they get Chrome and there's an option in the settings that you can say make it look like it did before, and they're shocked that people are going in and making it look like they did before. Let me give you a history lesson. Windows 7 was out, right? And Windows 7 had a feature in it that made it look more like XP. And that was we almost made it part of the new build process to make Windows 7 look like Windows XP. Then Windows 8 came out. That was an epic, that's a UI redesign. Remember the tile screen, and like you had to tap on mystery areas of the screen that you had to swipe from the right end to bring in the control panels and tap on the gear. And if you didn't know to do that, there were videos online of like kids, hey dad, here's your new Windows 8 computer. I'm going to get it started for you. Now I want you to turn it off, okay? And they roll film on poor old dad who's fumbling around on this thing like, oh, I don't know what to do. And I mean, it's sad and it's hilarious at the same time because it was so not intuitive that you couldn't even find the power button for the thing. Same thing here. Windows 8, there was a piece of software that did become part of our new build checklist called Classic Shell, which made the start menu behave like a Windows 7 start menu. So they left the tile screen there, but at least the start menu would work right so customers could get to all the things they knew how to get to. Well, then Windows 8.1 came out, which wasn't really a big difference, and then Windows 10 came out. And Windows 10 was redesigned to look a lot more like Windows 7. So it was like, they just said, let's pretend like it never even happened. So now we don't have to install Classic Shell anymore. Most people who get Windows 10 can navigate around it pretty easily. We haven't got a single complaint this year that our computers don't come with a manual. That was a very common complaint in the Windows 8 era. This thing needs to come with a manual. The problem is Microsoft updates it every 6 months. How are we supposed to make a manual for it? By the time we print the manual, it'll be out of date and it'll be useless, and you'll just be mad because the manual's wrong. So it's better if you just subscribe to the Schrock Desk. We give you 90 days for free. That's enough time for you to learn where everything is at, and then if you want to keep on it, you can keep on it. So yeah, that was fun stuff. The Me Too robot settings, yeah, that would be something, a Me Too robot. I'm not even going to go there. Yeah, Warren Sex, I think, of the two major tech drivers. Wasn't that the second or third image ever sent over the ARPANET was a centerfold? I think it was, actually. When you think about it, it's sad. It's very sad, but it's also reality that the reason that you can download videos today, the reason that you have home movies today is because of the VCR. And the reason the VCR took off wasn't because you could buy all these wonderful Tom Hanks movies on VHS tapes. The reason the VCR took off was because people were making movies and sharing them. It was like YouTube without parental controls, if you know what I mean. So those drivers for industry always seem to push things forward. In fact, a lot of the advances that you see in your flight simulators were not developed for virtual reality flight simulators. Virtual reality, what else could we do with that? Yeah. Moving on. All right, let's see. What else did we not get to? I'm going to close that tab so I know I covered it. Who cares about the smartest speakers? Ransomware suspected in cyber attack that crippled major U.S. newspapers. I was hoping that Robert Gerst would join us on the show today. He's one of the employees who left us this year. He is running the printing operation at the Omaha World Herald for them. I was curious if the Omaha World Herald experienced any issues with this. I was going to ask him. The Ryuk ransomware strain is the primary suspect in a cyber attack that caused printing and delivery disruptions for several major U.S. newspapers over the weekend. The attack reportedly affected printing centers operated by the Tribune Publishing and former Tribune Publishing property, the Los Angeles Times. All Tribune Publishing newspapers were impacted by some degree of the cyber attack. Why is that? They probably had interconnected systems that did not require passwords for sharing, or the passwords were saved. And what that allows, these ransomware infections, they go through drive to drive to drive, encrypting everything. So if you have a backup drive, they encrypt your backup. If you are connected to a server, they encrypt the server. It goes through everything and encrypts everything. The print editions of the Chicago Tribune, the Lake County News Sun Post Tribune, Hartford Coronet, Baltimore Sun, Capital Gazette, Carroll County Times were published Saturday without paid death notices and classified ads, according to the newspapers. In other markets, similarly slimmed down versions of the Saturday paper will be delivered a day late on Sunday. So yesterday's news today. That's great for the Digital Times. Former Tribune Publishing, blah, blah, blah. The attack delayed distribution, stymied distribution. The LA Times cited an inside source at its former mother company who claimed the printing outage was caused by an infection of ransomware. Run endpoint. Mary, this is it right here. And you can hit people with stories like this. I literally had a customer in the service center in Papillion. We were telling him he needed endpoint. And he looked at Parker, and Parker didn't know how to handle this question. He's never been hit with this. We're celebrating 20 years next year. And the customer's like, how will I know that you're going to be here next year if I subscribe to an annual product? And it was like, I heard that from the back room, and I was like, I haven't heard that in years. That was like a common, well, I'm not sure I want to buy a computer from you. You've only been around for a few years. How do I know you're going to be around next year? Great question. One of the most difficult questions to answer when you're a small independent business. But when you're around for 19 years, it's pretty safe to say I think we'll make it to 20, especially when 20 is like 18 hours away, 20 hours away. I mean, I think we're going to make it. Yeah, it was interesting. But he was in there, and I was like, listen, if you don't want to get the endpoint, I'm not going to try to talk you into it. If you don't want it, you don't want it. My job is to give you options and then tell you the consequences of your decisions. It's your job to make a decision. But I will tell you that statistically, most people that don't take endpoint the first time they have me remove an infection do take it the second time they pay me to remove the same infection. He's like, wait a minute, what, they come back? Yes, they get reinfected and they come back. And then most of the time we're nice about it. If they're nice to us, if they're good people, we're nice to them. And we say, we're not going to charge you to remove the same virus a second time as long as you buy endpoint this time. But if they were mean to us and accused us of going out of business in the next few months, we charge them double and then sell them endpoint. You know what I mean? And it was like a laugh joke thing. And he bought the endpoint. So he's protected. So good. We did our job. He's protected. So that's kind of funny. Oh, let's see. Did they shut down the New York Times? No, that is not a Tribune company. So that did not get shut down. CenturyLink outage did take down several 911 emergency centers across the U.S. Downtime caused by network issues affecting 15 CenturyLink data centers. They said it is not related to hacking. It was equipment failure, but they didn't really specify what equipment failure or failed. ISPs have outages all the time. However, this technical issue was different from others because CenturyLink is one of the main providers of internet and telephone connections to many of the U.S.'s 911 emergency call centers. So, if you will, CenturyLink is a cloud provider to other places that use them for 911 distribution calls. How can you rely on cloud providers if they go down all the time? Counties across the U.S. reported downtimes in their 911 call centers, impacting states like Washington, Oregon, Minnesota, Massachusetts, Idaho, New Mexico, Missouri, Arizona, Colorado, and Canada. Canada is not a state, by the way. Not yet. They haven't applied. Local phone and county sheriff's departments have been answering distressed users on social media for the past few hours, giving out direct phone numbers to dispatchers. CenturyLink outage has been fully ended on the 29th. In a message sent to core providers, the company detailed the root cause of the outage, blaming the issue on network management card in Denver, Colorado that was propagating invalid frame packets across the device. So they had a network card fail. One piece of hardware failed and it took down the 911 center. And you say we're ready for an EMP. Oh boy. Windows is coming to your Chromebook. Just not your crappy little Chromebook that you probably bought. But we have people who bring in a Chromebook with a cracked screen, and they're like, hey, how much is it to fix this? And we just look at the screen. We're like, this is a Chromebook. You paid like, what, 160 bucks for it? Well, the hour of labor is going to cost you 110, and the screen's going to cost you 90. So you may as well go buy a new Chromebook. Oh, well, can you transfer my data? We sure can. It's 150. What? How much data could you be storing on the thing? All it does is Google Docs. You should have that all in the cloud. It's got 32 gigs of storage. What could possibly be in here? All right, so if you follow Chromebook's development news, the hot stove baseball fans follow the latest trade rumor. Oh, I was like, what are they talking? Hot stove? If you follow Chromebook development news, the way that hot stove baseball fans follow the latest trade rumors. I've never heard that term. Have you ever heard of a hot stove baseball fan? Is it people who talk baseball while they cook? What? Somebody on there tell me, what is a hot stove baseball fan? I have no idea. If you have one of the Windows applications that you have to run and that's been holding you back from getting a Chromebook, Google's been working on making it possible to dual boot Windows 10 on a Chromebook. This is not the same as Google bringing Linux to the Chromebook. The new dual boot mode will let Chromebook users with the latest processors and a minimum of a 64 gig solid state and 4 gigs of RAM run Windows 10. It appears as if dual boot, the offspring of Google's Project Campfire, will enable you to run either system. In short, since Campfire, you'll be able to dual boot. All right, but you'll have to pay for your Windows license, which will add $100 to the cost of the computer, which means it won't be super cheap anymore, which means you'll just buy a Windows computer anyway, because that's what you really want. Who says, I would buy a Chromebook if it wasn't for the fact I had to run Word, Excel, Outlook, PowerPoint, Firefox, Cortana? I mean, just buy a Windows computer. Microsoft mulls using emergency powers to ban Huawei and ZTE. A few months ago, there was a rumor of an import ban on ZTE, and literally the company declared bankruptcy overnight. If Trump does this sounds like a negotiation tactic to me, but if he does this, it would kill ZTE, and it would definitely hurt Huawei, who is now the world's largest cell phone manufacturer, shipping more than 2 million smartphones last year. So that's pretty crazy there. All right, guys, last call for questions. I got to get rolling here. Got all that. Yeah, we covered everything. So last call for questions. If you got something you need to ask that's been a burning desire, we're happy to answer it for you. Otherwise, we're going to be signing off for the final AfterSchrock of 2018. Yeah. I keep thinking to myself, I need to do something at the start of when you go to Facebook and you initially you get like a 2-second snapshot as you're scrolling past of what's happening on the live stream. I need to do something at the beginning of the live stream that gets people's attention. Something like that people are like, what? And so I was like, this morning, I was like, maybe I could just put this tissue here. Now, people will think I'm blowing my nose. I can put this tissue on my head like this, and people will be like, why does that guy have a tissue on his head? It just didn't. I can put it over my face entirely, but then he's hiding. He's on a live stream and he's hiding. I don't understand. But blowing your nose, that's not going to go well on a live stream. I need some ideas, guys. So we need to do something interesting at the start of the live stream. Maybe I should get those cards, like you see those videos where people are on there and there's no sound and there's just a card. And they're like, I'm about to go live. I have no idea what to do to capture your attention in this brief 2-second period. If you're still watching this, apparently I've succeeded. Hey, welcome to Compute This. We can do something like that maybe. I don't know. I'm about to print some cards. All right, guys, I've got to roll. Thank you very much for joining us in the Aftershock. Thanks for joining us for the show today. It was a great show, lots of callers. Great way to end the year. We have some super, super exciting stuff planned for next year. We've got new hardware products coming. We've got new intellectual property coming, let's put it that way, new ways of doing things coming. And, of course, we have the 12 sales of the 20th year anniversary. And for those of you who are, I shouldn't leak it. I really shouldn't leak it. I mean, today's the 30th, right? Today is the 30th. And it's the 1st. Okay. The sale in January is going to be solid state drives installed in your computer with no labor. I know it's a crazy sale, right? We're not charging any labor for the time. So what we'll do is your computer has to have a healthy mechanical hard drive in it, okay? So we're going to clone your healthy mechanical hard drive onto a solid state drive and install that solid state drive in your computer for no labor. No labor. How much do solid state drives cost? They start at $150, they go up from there. And which one do you need? We don't know until we look at your computer, because we have to see how much space you're using on your computer. I might make a little video to show people like how they can do that, how they can check it, but it's pretty easy. You click on the little file folder on the bottom of the screen, then you click on this PC, and it'll show you in the screen on the right side, it'll say that you have this many gigabytes free of this many gigabytes. So you have to do the math and subtract it. Most people are okay with 120 gig solid state. Some people need a 240. If you like to store a lot of data, or you have a lot of videos or photos or something, a 500 gig or a 1 terabyte drive might be needed. But the long and the short of it is, guys, this is an amazing sale. The drives start at $150. So literally, if you have an old computer, maybe you couldn't do a holiday special this year, you're trying to breathe some new life into this old computer, a solid state hard drive will definitely do that for you. It will make your computer up to 16 times faster than it is already. And with no labor on the install, it's just the cost of the hardware. So asterisks, special things, whatever. During the sale, we will only install solid states that we sell from Schrock. Number one, we have to make a little bit of money on the deal, so otherwise we can't keep the lights on. So we're giving you, we normally charge an hour of labor for the clone. That's a $110 discount is what you're getting back. Got to buy the drive from us. We won't install. If you want us to install your drive, we will install your drive, but we're going to charge you the hour of labor, and then there's no warranty on the drive because obviously we didn't sell it to you. If we sell it to you, we're going to also install Drive Advisor on your computer if you don't already have it, that monitors the health of the hard drive, so that if in the warranty period it starts to fail, we actually call you and tell you the hard drive that we installed in your computer is starting to fail. Will you please bring that in so we can replace it for free for you? Who else does that? For real? So there you go. So tell your friends, guys. We're going to have some Facebook alerts about it when it comes up. It's going to go. I don't know how many we're going to do. I've ordered, like I said, I ordered 20 of each, 20 120 gig hard drives and 20 240 gig hard drives to each service center, and we have a handful of 480s in each service center. Most people don't go for the 480, they don't need it. But if you have an Apple computer, oh, my guys are going to hate me for this. If you have an Apple computer, this is the opportunity for you to replace your mechanical hard drive with a solid state. If you have an iMac, those are a flippin' nightmare to open. We usually charge 2 hours of labor just out of spite, because the odds are every single one of my employees has broken an iPad screen or an iMac screen. You have suction cups that you have to stick on there and lock them down. It's like climbing a window with suction cups. You lock them down. You take a heat gun and you heat it up, and then you have to take a little separator tool and go around the edge. And by the time you get about halfway around, for whatever reason, the screen goes and pops off in your face, and it goes clack on the desk and splits right up the middle. $200, $300, $400 screen. Brian broke one in the service center last week. It's the replacement screen, which we're paying for. We broke it, is being delivered today for that customer. So if you have an iMac and you want to get a solid state hard drive, this is the time to do it with no labor. If you have a MacBook, oh my gosh, the old MacBooks, 16 screws come out, 4 more screws come out. Now we have the hard drive out. Then we clone it. Then we put it all back together. It's a lot of work, guys. So you get the free labor. If you have a PC, they're only downer to this. Some really, really, really old PCs. So read PCs that were running like Windows Vista that were upgraded to 7, that were upgraded to 10. They have to be a backup wipe and reinstall, which is where we can't clone the drive, but we can still install the solid state, copy all your files over to it, but we just can't move your programs. Again, no labor on those, but just if you have an ancient computer, there might be a little more hassle to the installation. But otherwise, for everybody who has a computer that was Windows 7 or newer originally, upgrading to a solid state hard drive is painless. You don't even know. There's no difference at all. Everything is exactly where it was, except your computer is up to 16 times faster than it was before. So that is your reward for listening all the way to the end of the AfterSchrock. Now you know what the sale is coming up. Basically, you can time it accordingly so that you're dropping your computers off. We're closed on the 1st, but we are open on the 2nd. So if you get your computers in on the 2nd, you'll be first in line to get those solid state upgrades. All right, guys. Let me scroll down real quick here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Thank you, Ray. Happy New Year to you as well. Happy New Year, Thomas. 500 gig solid states, yeah. 1 terabyte solid states. Yes, we can do them all. They have 2 computers that are in dire need of a 500 gig solid state. Well, like I said, there's a handful of, ironically, they come in like 480 to 512. And so we buy whichever one of those is the right price. We have certain brands that we only pick. We will only buy Western Digital, Samsung, SanDisk, or Kingston. So we don't buy any of the Dion King garbage or any of the PNY stuff. All those junk, they're junk. We do data recovery. We know the junk from the good stuff. We only pick the ones that have good controller chips that have 3D virtual RAM, or 3D VRAM. So we want to get the good drives in there. But yeah, no labor, guys. So drop those computers off on the 2nd, and my staff is going to officially kill me now. All right, we'll see you guys again in 2019. Thank you very much for a great year. Have a safe and happy New Year.